And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It would be the 9th of March, 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, you know this is Investor's Edge. You know this is serious talk on everything that affects you. We do the markets, the economy, jobs, war, the Morlocks in D.C. And in case you did not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com, and we will post it on our X feed. And if you don't follow us on X, you should. And we're done. What I'm about to say is with love, with hope. That's a better word. What I'm about to say is with hope. It's with love. Hope for this country, love of this country. Taco, in case you don't know, is a traditional Mexican dish consisting of small hand-sized corn or wheat tortilla topped with fillings, commonly seasoned meat, vegetables, cheese, and salsa, then folded or rolled for eating by hand. It's a taco. And then there's the other taco. I did not make it up, but during the Trump tariff brigade, people came up with the moniker taco. Trump always chickens out. Remember, I'm saying this with love and hope. And as you know, I'm rooting for him. I stand side by side with him. I'm rooting for him. As you know, we covered the tariffs better than anybody else out there. Before Liberation Day, the markets were heading lower, correcting. Wednesday, Liberation Day in April, last April, after the close, the president had something in the garden at the White House, put up a poster, and had 100% tariffs, 150% tariffs on everyone, I think. I don't even recall, but I know there was some hundreds and hundreds and fifties. Overnight, the markets were crashing. In fact, by the close on Friday, the markets, the indices, 10%. But apparel companies were down 30, 40, 50. Shoe companies, 40, 50. Why? Because they get all their stuff from Vietnam and Taiwan, and there was going to be 100 to 150% tariffs. Put them out of business. On that Friday, auto company said, we're not delivering anything. Amazon said, we're going to stop delivering packages. On that weekend, it is well known to me, they were having crap fits at the White House, yelling and screaming, blaming everybody. And they decided, oh, we got to get rid of this. So on Monday, they were going to roll them all back. But it got leaked. When it got leaked, the market rallied 2,000 points in 10 minutes. But they had to come out and say, we didn't say anything. And the market went right back down those 2,000 points, give or take. On that Wednesday, they finally rolled them back. Why did they do that? The markets made them. They gave all kinds of excuses why and this, that, and the other thing, but they were full of crap. They were crashing the markets. They were stopping the e-commerce. They were moved by the markets. And subsequently, a couple of more times, the president went crazy again and announced for China, I think 100%. And guess what happened? Markets were rolling. Within a day, removed it. Quite the few times. So somebody came up with the moniker Taco. Trump always chickens out. Well, I have news for you. I don't blame him. The market and the economy are important, especially to midterm elections. The market and the economy is everything. And they realized they screwed up badly. And he had to put his big ego aside and taco. And let me repeat, I stand next to the president. I say this with love. I'm rooting for him. But that was tariffs. And as you know, tariffs were changed 100 times. And as you know, exemption after exemption after exemption. Tim Cook goes to the White House and gets on bended knee and gets exemptions for the iPhones. And so on and so forth. But that was tariffs, which is kind of still going on. But is he now doing it with war? Is he now doing it with war? Has he seen oil prices skyrocket? Stock markets here and around the globe come in hard. Is he now doing it with war? Because today we opened badly again. But I will tell you, you had strength in the semis and some glamour names, while a lot of other things were in bad shape. Well, I can tell you at 3:15, the Dow was at 47,156, down like 380 more points. By 3:40, the Dow rallied up 700 points. The president didn't make an announcement. He planted an announcement. He was on the phone with a CBS reporter. He is thinking that the war can be over soon. War could be over soon. Which begs the question, did the markets move war now? You may say, wait a minute, Gary, hold on. He's always said 4 or 5 weeks and maybe they've done such a good job. Yeah, maybe. Remember, I'm on his side. I'm just a big believer in modus operandi, MO. I'm a big believer in precedent. I'm a big believer in habits. Oh, we'll know in the days ahead what comes of this. So the market rallied up 700 points, hit 47,876, and then closed at 47,740, up 239. NASDAQ up 308, NASDAQ 100, 324. As we said, the NASDAQ had a pretty good, better bid. It rallied up that whole 300 points. It was 22,385 at the announcement, rallied up 310, so it was down 1 point. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index was at 7622. It was up pretty good already. Closed at 7810, almost 190 points in minutes. It's a damn good question. Are we now moving decision-making on war based on the markets. This being oil prices. Well, oil prices tanked just on that. About 10%. As you know, and let me repeat this, I stand by him. But as you know, I have to verify everything. Up next, we'll get into it. We'll get to where the markets stand, what we're seeing, and all that crap. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. So as we told you, with him, with Biden, with the rest, we don't trust a freaking word out of their mouths. Nothing personal. They're politicians. They're full of crap. They'll say anything at any time, anywhere. So we got to verify everything. Everything has to be verified that comes out of this man's mouth. And you don't need me to tell you that. You know that already. At his State of the Union address, he had the nuts to say tariffs are paid by other countries, a bold-faced lie to the world. He didn't care. So we'll see what comes of it. Let me just state for the record, I hope it's true. I don't want any war. I think we kicked Iran's ass by now. I think we have. We have 7 soldiers dead. A bunch of Israelis dead. But trust is low, and we'll try and verify. Let's hope it is. And let me repeat, while I mentioned taco and BS and lies and making moves on tariffs and war based on markets, I stand by him because I want his success. Good success, of course. Not bad success. But if he is deciding on war based on markets, boy, does that suck. We're not in his head. We just know his MO. He did it all the time with the tariffs. We highlighted it for you every single day. We nailed it for you every single day. And we take no joy in it. But are we now doing it with a war? Say what? All right. Let me repeat. We stand right behind him. He is our president. He is my president. There's a lot of crap I don't like about him, but he is our president. I do not have Trump derangement syndrome. I have truth derangement syndrome. I want good things for us. Anyway, oil prices had a big drop. I have absolutely no idea what happens overnight. We hear there's a press conference at 5:30. I don't think that. I don't know what the hell it has to do with. And we'll see what comes of it. As we have said, we are in the most news-driven environment ever. Ever. Not even close. Because of one man and his whims. And by the way, I don't think it's a reach for using the word whim. And I very much worry about his whims. I really do. This is not normal. Tariff policy, major tax hikes and tax cut policy via one man and his whim. You know how pissed off I was at Powell for printing to $9 trillion. and screwing everything up. That's today. Now, before this late day president, just letting you know, the semiconductors were strong after getting hit hard. The glamour type AI, optical, memory, storage, data were strong, and just about everything else was terrible, though off lows. But by the end of the day, Goldman was up 10 after being down 20. What else is new? The commodity stocks that were red early finished green. The advanced decline on the New York was 1 to 3 negative, finished down a little. On the NASDAQ, 27 to 19 up. That was 2 to 1 negative. Caterpillar, only a 42-point reversal. 40 to 6 times 121, about 280 Dow points. And my job tonight is pretty simple. I see Caterpillar held the 50-day moving average today. Very important area. I'll start with that. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, not back to the 50-day, but a big wide bar finishing at the highs of the day. Micron, back holding the 50-day moving average, and so on and so forth. My list would have been very small at 3 p.m. Maybe the list got better by 4 because I'm noticing some reversals in some stuff. Like Southern Copper. Reversed, finished back. New high list, hardly anything. Hardly anything. But leave no doubt, very good reversal. I have absolutely no clue what happens tomorrow. Not a shred of an idea. Because does his whim change? And then there's the crazy, which is worrisome. The president looks like, in that same interview, says he is thinking of taking over the Strait of Hormuz. Ladies and gentlemen, that's some certifiable stuff. We ain't taking over the Strait of Hormuz. We're not taking over Greenland. Does this guy think he's playing Risk? This is real world crap. God. I am so rooting for him and his success. But there's some insanity run amok, kids. I'm not ruling out military with Greenland. I'm taking over the Strait of Hormuz. We're taking the oil away from Venezuela. What? Up next, what else in the markets? This is the one only Investor's Edge. Okay. Well, guess what? All the big indices are in a 4+ month trading range that headed to the downside. Got a little reversal today. I still think we're underneath the, let me check. S&P is back into the middle of the range. The Dow is not back into the middle of the range, but a big wide bar. The NASDAQ, just at the bottom of that range, and so is the NASDAQ 100. The Russell 2000 that was getting squashed today, get this for a bar, hit 2463, 90-point swing, still below the range. The mid-cap 400, little bit below the range. And I'm noticing the Dow's down 150 points right in the aftermarket of the 240 that it was up. Well, one man's whims. Unfortunately, that one man is the President of the United States that's calling for taking over the Strait of Hormuz. Ugh. We got almost 3 more years of this. Anyway, by the way, hope you had a good weekend. It's flew back Saturday night. I have to tell you that the airport was empty. LaGuardia, empty. I know Saturday, still empty. Words of advice this week, if you're traveling, get in touch with the airport and find out what's going on with TSA. Certain airports have 3 to 4 hour waits because our wonderful government still has a little shutdown, and TSA people are not showing up because they're not getting paid. I don't blame them. So I think I read it was Houston was 4 hours. 4 hours? Holy smokers. Let me repeat, I stand by him. But there's some insanity going on, kids. You even know it. It's called vertigo. We'll see what the next day brings. We're watching oil prices very closely. They're still very elevated. But had a big drawdown from the highs today. The USO, which, by the way, measures the spot price, hit a high today of 124 and closed at 104. I'm not making that up. I do believe at 340 it hit 99 and bounced. But look at what a drop. War. Now, if in fact, this isn't going to be whim Trump, and we're really ending the war, great. If it's a success, great. All for it. Love to see it. I do know we really okay. We've been told by this president that we have to verify everything, that we've done a fabulous job taking out this, that, and the other thing in Iran. I hope it's all true. They're bad. And as you know, I was not against going in and doing this. And I think one of the things the president said rings true. Nobody else had the grapefruits to do this in the past. Now the Dems are out there saying, oh, he's only doing this because he's been written up in the Epstein file. I don't care why he did it. Do I agree with the whole intervention across the world? No. And I will tell you, a lot of MAGA up in arms because they voted for him for being the peace president, and he's a neocon. The excuse is, well, he's only going in and out. Horse crap. Outcome will be everything, ladies and gentlemen. We wish him well. We wish it well. And we hope to get past it. Tomorrow will be another day. And let me repeat, I have no clue what happens because I am not in his head. He's having a press conference at 5:30. It has to do with other things, but I guess this will come out. I am sure he's going to say the same things. The problem is now, if the war doesn't end the next 2 days, remember, boy who cried wolf syndrome. Don't want to get into that with war. Tariffs are bad enough. This is different. This is people's lives, not livelihoods. What else? Just everything bounced off the lows. Anything above the 50-day moving average is to be watched. New yearly high list is hardly any because of all the damage that's been done. I was scanning in the middle of the day, but I got to rescan tonight because of all the tails. I have an idea exactly what it's going to look like, but all I can tell you with oil prices plunging, guess what popped at the end of the day? The airlines were getting killed again. Of course it's going to go up. The cruise lines had a good end of day. Of course it's going to go up because oil prices were tanking again. Hotels, travel. They're still in bearish phases, but they can come out of the bearish phase if that's it for oil prices. Welcome to Trump land. I say that with love. Lots of moving parts and interchangeable outcomes. We hope out of this we get some major trends without big squiggly lines on a chart that a 3-year-old can make with crayons. I will tell you some wild swings the last few days and some of the glamours. Things like LITE. Down 90 on Friday, up 80 today. Strong name. How about SanDisk? Up 60 today. And by the way, a lot of it was SanDisk was up, $560, $25 in the last 20 minutes off of the announcement. So the job will be to ferret it out, figure it out, and hopefully don't have to worry about gaps to the upside, gaps to the downside, this, that, and the other thing. Let me repeat, I feel like I must. As much as I mentioned Taco and verifying, we stand by them. We want great success. We want a great economy, which is not great. It's not a golden age. The job numbers were terrible. The GDP was 1.4, and now oil prices. We don't blame him. We don't blame him for making the moves on the war based on oil prices and the markets. We wouldn't. Anything else need to know? Economically sensitive had a good end of day. Foreign markets, the foreign stocks had a strong end of day. I got to tell you, I've been eyeing South Korea early today. EWY. It was right around 125 when I saw it. Perfectly holding the 50-day. Didn't do anything. Finished at 133. That said, I'd be scared out of my wits tomorrow. I don't know what's going to come tomorrow. I do know where the strength is. I do know where the leadership is. But they were cracking the hell out of it last week. A reminder on some things. We watch earnings reports. Broadcom, very good reaction last week. Up another 14 today. That's on watch. Software stocks, we mentioned to you. They had the relative strength, but it's mostly recovery. We look for big strength. And then everything else is, we're going to have to scan and see what the hell's going on. Another one of those wow days. Gold miners held the 50-day moving average today after undercutting. Gold holding. Silver holding. As we said, gold much stronger than silver. Up next, this, that, and the other thing. This is the one only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm not so sure to add much because I don't know tomorrow. We'll just letting you know the semiconductors on a relative basis. The artificial intelligence influence things of data storage, memory, regular storage, building and construction of whatever's to be built. That is the strength in the market. Everything else has been quite the mixed bag. Commodity types, strength. But they were breaking down badly in the last few days, and I'm going to have to look them over tonight because possible reversal. Software, been better, but nothing spectacular. In big land, not a lot. Not a lot to tell you. Dell, good reaction to earnings. Costco, okay. Mentioned Broadcom, better. Apple, blah. Tesla, blah. SAP, Siemens, Qualcomm, Oracle, blah. Nvidia held the 200 day today. Meta, Microsoft, bouncing. Google holding on to support. Salesforce bouncing. Booking Holdings terrible. Amazon, blah. AMD, Adobe, Netflix better, but has a lot of work to do. They were buying a company. They are no longer buying it. It ripped. And then there's the lesser tech screen. I got nothing to say. There's some bounces in there. There's some better. Not so sure. But the big story today, the president looks like the markets, stock and oil, has moved him. And I don't care what anybody tells me, that's what's going on. But I think he's got a great excuse. They really kicked Iran's ass. The question is, it takes two to tango. You do know that. It takes two to tango. Oh, this is going to get interesting. The job for you, very important right now. Pay attention to the new yearly high list. Just suppose the market stops going down. Just suppose. We're not saying it is. And let's say the market can kind of get going. The names that move into new high first usually lead. Usually. It's all about relative strength. It's all about the race. Simple as that. Just, we're in Trump land. We had it all of 25 with tariffs. Now we're getting a little bit with the war, and the good news is, I think the tariffs still out there. Months and months. This thing may be put in a box very quickly. Maybe. I'm watching oil prices like a hawk. Never used to have to that much. Just so you know, all year, oil prices were stable. We like stable. And I'm noticing oil prices down a couple of bucks in the aftermarket. Cool. Hey, in the news, typical. Gavin Newsom. It is being told that his wife's nonprofit, she's been taking salary 1/3 of the nonprofit's total income every year. If that's correct, she's scum. As you know, I work closely with a Boys and Girls Club Central Florida. We watch every dime. And that's thievery on her part. And by the way, there's a lot of that going on in charitable things out there. That's typical. Seen it many times. One of the sitting congresswomen here years ago went to jail for that. Create a charity, take crap loads of salary, hopefully never to be found out, and all that. 2 terrorists threw improvised explosives in New York City. The mayor first would not call them out, but because Islamic, you can, well, now he has. Good. Hopefully they never see the light of day. It was attempted murder, any way you cut it, and should be headline news. We'll see how that plays out. I tell my sons in New York City, just be aware. When I'm in New York City, I'm aware. I'm very aware. So these 2 ISIS-inspired wrote notes. Turns out they live in a 5,600 square feet, $2 million house. Yet they're pissed off at America. Don't you love people? Don't you just love people? All right. If oil prices go down, good. If they go back up, bad. I'm going to guess, stupidly, that we're closer to the end than the beginning because of markets have moved the whim. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. I can't wait to scan this sucker all over the map. You all have a great evening. Drive carefully. And I stand beside him. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family, you hug your children. They will feel better. You'll feel better. I promise you. Stay well. Be well. Thanks for joining. Good night.